What up, fam? How y'all doing? Come on in here. Come on in here. I hate how low this thing sofa sits. Sometimes this recliner gets on my nerves. But how y'all doing out there? I hope everyone is having a good weekend so far. As you can tell from this title, I titled it Exclusive because it is exclusive. I'm not joking either. Um, so there are several things I wanted to go over tonight. And honestly, I wasn't planning on really talking about life updates, quote unquote, but I felt the need to express myself a little bit. Hey Matthew, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Come on in. I think you're the first person in my life. Oh, I'm so surprised. I'm happy now. I didn't think anybody was gonna be up in here, to be honest. And it is late. It's almost midnight. How you doing tonight, Matthew? I guess I'll wait till some more people come up in here. Cause child, the tea is hot. I'm so serious. It's very, very hot. You tired? You okay? Oh yeah. I'm a little tired myself too. I'm not gonna lie, but for some reason I could not go to sleep. So since I'm still awake and I'm still up, thanks to my insomnia, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go live, see if anybody is on since it's kind of late, because it's Friday. Well, almost Saturday now, because now it hit midnight, but it was Friday. But anywho, you got any plans or you just chilling? You just Netflixing and chilling. Oh man. Like when I say this week has been nothing but chaos. Whew. I'm talking real chaos. Real chaos. But busy week. Yeah, yeah. Same here, same here. But it's had its moments. I've had a lot of positive feedback this week and last week, to be honest. And that's why I wanted to come on here and share a few things happening. So, God, put this on silent. My phone was going off. It's tripping. Anywho, I guess I'll get started since it's me and you. Anywho, what was I gonna say? I done lost my train of thought. There I go again. Oh, so I'm gonna do a little bit of a deep dive and go over why the VA hotline is so important. OMG. Like when I say I had a real eye opener after I complained to the VA hotline, whew. And in case you don't know what I'm talking about, because I know a lot of people are not familiar with the military lingo, but the VA hotline, aka the Department of Veterans Affairs hotline, is like the national 1-800 number for all veterans, where people can call to like submit complaints if their issue is not being resolved at like their local VA facility, like like the hospitals and stuff for the vets. But anyway, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown. So what happened was all I think this week, no, all last week. This is when the drama started. So long story short, when I was going to my physical therapy appointments and stuff, because y'all know I've been in recovery mode recently, dealing with Achilles tendonitis in both of my ankles, and it's not fun. However, as I'm going to physical therapy and, taking care of myself or whatever, I just kept getting these random phone calls from the VA. And I said, now, why does the VA keep calling me? I keep going to my appointments, I never miss them. So I said, let me call them back and see what they wanted. And then one of them left a voicemail. I think it was like one of the nursing stations. And they were like, hey, we're calling to set up your appointment with some physician who I've never heard of in the Red Clinic. And I said, Red Clinic, hold on. I said, I'm in the green clinic. I was confused because it wasn't my clinic that I normally go to. So I called them back and I was just like, hey, what's going on? Because, I got this voicemail. Y'all keep calling me. I didn't miss any appointments or whatever. I thought it was something I missed. Tell me why these fools, and I mean, they've been back and forth with me, like between last week and the week before, was like, oh, you should have got a letter in the mail saying they switched your clinics and your doctor. I said, no, I didn't. That's why I'm calling to find out what's going on. So, anywho, I ended up calling them and I tried to switch back to my original clinic, right? So they were basically saying, like, oh, you gotta call so and so, do all this extra bullshit, whatever, to go back to my original, provider. And I ended up getting a new person. However, they did my request when I asked to switch back to my original place that I went to before, which was the Green Clinic. Now, this is what ticked me off. It wasn't the fact that they switched my clinic, and it wasn't the fact that they switched my provider, because it happens. Like, I would say every other, I don't know, 3 to 6 months, the VA likes to play ring around the rosy with physicians. Why? I don't know. They will switch your clinic at the last minute. They will switch your physician at the last minute and then send you a letter in the mail and let you know. So the thing that ticked me off the most was the fact that I found out when I tried to put in a referral request to get a second opinion for my leg that I'm currently dealing with right now. They basically were like, oh, well, your referral is expired. You got to contact community care, blah, blah, blah. Community care is like a third party that the VA uses to outsource you to other, doctor appointments, so like outside hospitals. So I was like, okay, well, tell my provider I need a new referral. Like, how hard can that be, right? So, anyway, they were like, well, you would have to go through the red clinic because that's your current physician. I said, red clinic? They're like, yeah. So I said, okay, they playing the clinic game again. So once I confirmed that they never switched me back, that's when all hell broke loose. So I said, okay. So then I said, you know what? I am tired of the bullshit. I put in a complaint. And normally when I complain, I go to patient advocate, right? Patient advocate is like the veterans experience department where they take complaints, inside the hospitals. It's very normal. However, patient advocate has been dropping the ball. They have not been doing their job. So when they took like 3.5 days to respond to me via email, because we have, the chat messaging server bullshit, I took it upon myself to contact the VA hotline. And when I called the VA hotline, I put in several complaints. I decided to be a Karen. Call me a Karen because I was mad. So the first one I put in was for the fact that nobody told me they switched my clinic without my knowledge nor notification. The second complaint was the fact that I needed a referral. They never put in my new referral. And then the third complaint, I put in a lot. Forgive me. Like, y'all can judge me all day long. I don't give a damn. Was for parking. Now, the biggest issue that's going on right now, especially in Richmond, is the parking. The parking is very shitty. They only have one parking garage for the whole entire compound, and that compound is humongous. Um, on top of that, they have, massive parking lots, but the problem is because it's the central Virginia Veterans Healthcare System where everybody literally goes for, like, specialists and surgeries and all that stuff and trauma. Like, there's never any parking. It doesn't matter how early you get to the VA. You could be there at 7 o'clock in the morning. That whole parking lot is packed. I'm so serious. People will park in the grass because the parking garage is always full. Every time I would go down there, go get some labs done, get my little physical health checkup, I could never find a parking spot. And valet, valet is a joke. Let me tell y'all something about valet. Valet would be out the door, literally, like out to the road. That's how backed up and behind they were. And the volunteers, I'm assuming they're volunteers, there would only be like maybe two or three old men out there grabbing all them people's cars for valet. And I said, they need to hire some more people because this is not going to work. And when I say I sat in that line the last time I went to one of my physical therapy appointments for nearly 30 minutes, I was hot. Oh, I was fuming. I was really mad because I had to call physical therapy before I even walked inside to let them know that it was going to take me forever to get inside because I'm still waiting on valet to grab my vehicle in line. And they understood. They gave me some grace. And at that time, I was still walking on my ankle boot, I believe. So then, after that one, I think the last complaints I put in so many of them, it's not even funny. Oh, the erroneous package. So the VA decided to be funny by sending me some type of medical device equipment that I never asked for. And I said, what the hell is this? So I looked at the box. Tell me why they sent me like a little pedal cycle equipment thing. It's like a little, like a bicycle pedal thing, but it's a foot pedal that goes under your desk where you pedal your feet to help, with movement and stuff. I said, I never ordered this. Why the hell would they send this to me? And the box, they wrote in a big old Sharpie marker, Red Clinic. And I said, what the hell? So I said, okay, maybe it's payback because they got mad at that first complaint when I talked about, them not notifying me about the switching of the clinics and the switching of the physicians. So then I did that last complaint. I want to say in total, I put at least 4 or 5 complaints on them because I was that angry. Because I was tired of the bullshit. I was tired of the rude ass nurses I kept encountering because some of the nurses are real rude. They have attitudes, they're real stank, they don't want to be at work. And they take it out on the veterans, and it's not fair, to me as a veteran. So then, well, after I submitted all those complaints right. I never expected to hear shit back from the VA hotline. Let's be honest. As many times as I have complained to the VA hotline over the years, when I say they never respond to me, they never respond to me. They literally send you like a survey and they tell you to rate, the hospital, the nursing staff, and send the survey back just to see what they can improve on, quote unquote, right? So then, out of the blue, you will not believe this, but this one particular lady, I ain't gonna say her name either because she is up there. She's real high. And when I say real high, I'm talking about she has a lot of power. She sent me several messages. She said, your referral request has been resolved. We made sure that we notated and notified your new doctor to let them know that your referral has been submitted. I said, okay, cool. And then the biggest bomb of them all that dropped was yesterday. When I checked my VA app, because I have the app on my phone where you can look at, your claims, your medication refills, and all the good stuff. I check my inbox for the messages because that's where the secure messaging goes when you want to talk to like your doctor or you want to put in a complaint or whatever, right? I saw that same lady that messaged me about the referral messaged me a huge essay. And you know what that essay said? Y'all gonna fall out. I'm gonna read it to you. Hold on, let me pull it up. At the very top of this essay of a message this woman sent me, I was floored because my eyes got real big. When I say my eyes got big, y'all, I'm not joking. They got real big. So let me go back to my messages. So at 3 o'clock yesterday, March the 13th to be exact, in the subject line, okay, y'all ready? Brace yourself. This is why I put in the description box of this video, brace yourself, because this is the ticking time bomb that I just created. This sucker says White House hotline inquiry. Do y'all hear me? I said, I never contacted the White House. What the hell? I was confused because I was like, wait a minute, I only contacted the VA hotline and I only asked for them to forward my message to the office of the VA secretary, which is located in DC, but he's not at the White House. That's why I was so confused. I was like, what? Anyway, this is the essay of a message that this lady sent me. She said, good afternoon, Veteran Brown. The Patient Experience Center is in receipt of your White House hotline inquiry in which you cited concerns related to parking at the Hunter Holmes McGuire Hospital, also known as the Central Virginia VA healthcare system. You suggested that the facility could use another parking garage to accommodate the growing amount of veterans that utilize the hospital. Thank you so much for sharing your concerns. We acknowledge them and are aware of the issues surrounding parking. We thank you so much for your feedback as they help us to improve our services to our veterans. We truly apologize for the inconveniences you have experienced. And then the lady's name is at the bottom. And on the bottom of her name, do y'all know what her title says? Congressional liaison. I was done. I said, you know what? I'm not going to be a Karen no more. I'm not calling the VA hotline no more. I'm not. Because once I realized that they were tied to the White House hotline, I said, oh, hell no. I will just stick to patient advocate that's in house at the hospital, call it a day. Now, patient advocate won't do their job, then yes, I will call the VA hotline again. But after I read that message, I said, oh, hell to the no. I don't want no smoke from nobody. I don't want no smoke from nobody. No, 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 no. I want no bad juju. Nope. I said, I'm good. I am good. It shocked me. I'll be honest. I did not expect, like I said, I did not expect a response. I did not expect that response in particular from somebody that high up over a parking complaint, child. And I think what did it, I'm gonna tell y'all gonna laugh. I think what sparked a response was when I told them on the hotline, a little birdie inside that clinic, and it's very true. I didn't tell them who it was either. One of the staff members basically told me that supposedly the VA got some kind of $1 million grant for like renovations and stuff for like buildings and like all types of other, equipment and stuff. And allegedly, because I don't know if it's true, they did not use any of that grant money towards the parking. I don't know if it's true. That's why I say allegedly, because I don't want to get sued. But yeah, it's deep. Like and it honestly made me feel really good knowing that the VA hotline truly does give a damn about the veterans. I'll be honest. Like I honestly did not think they cared. I'll be honest, I really didn't. I thought that the VA hotline was where you complain, they check the box to say that they receive your complaint, it gets filed and shoveled in somebody's little queue or their little desk or their little email inbox and then nobody reads it. That's what I thought. But apparently these motherfuckers read your shit and they respond. So lesson learned. If you're a veteran or if you know somebody who is a veteran, if they ever have a severe issue, I would say definitely contact the VA hotline if they're not getting their issue resolved locally in house. But if they are getting it resolved, just deal with patient advocate. Just deal with patient advocate at this point. But a patient advocate is not doing their job, I would say the last thing to do is go to the VA hotline. I learned that the hard way. Once I realized how many channels these complaints go through, I said, oh no, nope. I don't want to be on nobody's radar. I don't. I don't. I hope to God I didn't get nobody written up or fired. I'm scared. I'll be honest. Because when you get a complaint like that and a response from somebody inside of that, I said, you know what? I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and throw away the key for a while. Unless it's so bad to the point where it's affecting my physical health or it's affecting my mental health, then yeah, I'll call the VA hotline again. But as long as it's not affecting me, you know, I think I'll live with patient advocate. But anyway, that's just one piece of the puzzle of recent events that happened this week. Um, Besides the VA hotline showdown drama, whatever you want to call it, is a lot going back and forth with these doctors cussing out folks. The next recent event I would definitely say is life update. So it's been a while since I shared a few life updates with you guys. The first life update I wanted to share is that I'm extremely excited for my future. The reason I say that is because, by the grace of God, I finally got my 100% VA disability. Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. I also posted a short clip about it, but I didn't really say much about it. But yeah, I've been fighting for this for a very long time. I want to say I've been fighting them since 2017 as far as my claims, of my disability stuff. And lo and behold, I finally got it done. And thank you to the DAV. Shout out to the DAV. If you don't know what the DAV is, it is a veteran service organization that helps out local veterans with their VA claims for like disability and stuff. It stands for Disabled American Veterans Association or something like that. But they're really good. And this was actually my very first time using a DAV. I've never dealt with them ever. Uh, Normally, I would go through like, the VA and stuff, but I decided to take a chance with them. Now, the first ones I dealt with before I went to DAV was called the Virginia Department of Veteran Services. That's a state agency. Do not go there. Do not even waste your time. I'm gonna be honest. When I dealt with them when I first moved here last year, and I went inside, I sat down with the lady. She seemed so personable and so nice and so concerned about helping me, right? She did my power of attorney paperwork or whatever to say that she wanted, to represent me as far as my claims and stuff. And then when I submitted my claims to her, this lady did not give me no type of advice. She didn't give me any type of guidance whatsoever on how to proceed with my claims. So I'm literally just Googling, trying to figure out, what to file, what to look for, just doing my best. And when I say that lady did not give a damn, she did not give a damn. She never answered none of my calls. She barely answered my emails. It's like every time I try to get a hold of them, they never picked up the phone. I said, why give me a business card if you're never going to answer your own phone and you're never going to respond to my emails? What's the point of dealing with you? So after I went through her and I got denied for several things, I said, you know what? I'm not dealing with them no more. So that's when I decided to switch the veteran organizations and went to the DAV. And that man, so nice. He was an older white gentleman, very, very personable, very respectful. Um, I ended up sitting down with him for about a cool, I say about an hour and a half with him. That man was so knowledgeable. Like he basically had me draft up what's called a lay statement, which is like your personal statement to the VA, explaining all of your injuries, your physical ailments, and all the good stuff. And then he also had me file, the actual disability forms and stuff like that. And once I did all of that with him, he drafted up my new power of attorney paperwork and sent it up. This was like back in, I want to say January, February timeframe. And by the time they finished my claims, after I went through a gazillion appointments, oh my God, it was such a nightmare. They finally gave it to me in March. I was so excited. And I'm going to tell you why it's important to have this. In case y'all are not aware of like, the biggest thing like of, having the 100%, The most important thing is there are three different brackets of the 100% disability. So you have your regular 100%, which means that you're employable, you can still work, you do whatever you want. But if you don't have the 100% P&T, which stands for permanent and totally disabled, that means that the VA can jack with you and decrease you as they please. And you don't want, the 100% employable or the 100% unemployable. That one's actually worse. That bracket means that it's called individual unemployability. A lot of veterans file for it because, they don't really want to work anymore. And I understand that because, their physical ailments and stuff. However, that one you have to be very careful with because the unemployability, if it's granted, that means that the VA can reevaluate you every 5 years to see if you're deemed employable. And the minute they deem you employable, they can happily take away that 100%. It's temporary, pretty much. Think of like short term disability versus long term disability. That's pretty much what that is. Unemployability is literally short term. Like you're playing with fire, basically. Now, when you get that 100% P and T, oh, you set. You are good to go. That's what you want. You want 100% P&T. Now, it's hard. Like when I say it's hard, I mean the VA is going to make you fight for it because like I said, in my situation, I've been going to them since 2017. I was stuck at 90% for the longest. It's been over 10 years now. They barely just gave me 100%. But that's only because I took a break during COVID. I never went back because I was, laying low because of all the stuff going on in COVID times. And I was working. I said, well, I'll go back to the VA later, whenever I get time, whenever I get flexibility, PTO, take time off or whatever. And then that's when I said, you know what? Since I'm in a new state, why not try again? So as soon as I got here, boom, filed my claims back in like January, February timeframe. And then that's when I started this whole process of evaluations and examinations and all the good stuff. It was a lot. But the main things I will tell you that got me over the hump, that did it for me, were my ankles, the Achilles tendonitis. They granted me 10% per ankle, which means that I have a bilateral combination of 20% total. And then they also granted me an increase in my back. It went from 10% to 20% because my back is messed up. I did a lot of like heavy lifting and ruck marches back in the day when I was in like, boot camp and stuff. And over the years, oh, my body has been through the ringer. It's just been getting worse and worse. But anyway, yeah, that's the golden ticket that you want. You want 100% permanent and total. And the reason I say that is because once you hit P&T status, that means that the VA can never touch you ever again, according to my veteran buddy I talked to. And that also means they can never reevaluate you. It does not matter how long you've been to the VA. You don't have to go to the VA anymore to be seen. You can go to any outside provider, whether that's a civilian hospital, urgent care clinic, it doesn't matter where you go. The VA will cover your expenses 100%. Yeah, like it opens a lot of doors for perks. The biggest perk of them all, in my opinion, is a tax exemption. If you're a homeowner, you now get the option to get the homestead exemption, depending on the state. Not every state does it. But in the state of Virginia, you're 100% permanent and total. That's the catch. P&T. You get 100% tax exemption. You have no more taxes if you're a homeowner. And that also applies to what's called personal property tax, which is basically a separate tax bracket. They tax you for your vehicles here, which is so dumb. I don't understand it. But if you own a car, a truck, a SUV, a van, a motorcycle, hell, it could be a damn Vespa, a scooter. Anything that is deemed as a motorized vehicle is personal property tax is ridiculous. But anywho, yeah, you get that wiped off too. So once you get your property tax exemption, you also open doors for dental. You get dental for life. You don't have to worry about ever going to see an outside dentist again if you don't want to. But I prefer to see an outside dentist because the VA, I don't trust them in my mouth. Mm-mm. Everything else, yeah, I would definitely say labs, prescriptions, medications, the whole works, the whole 9 yards. Yes, I will test. I will trust them with that all day. But I've never, and I mean never, seen a dentist at the VA, and I'm not going to do it now. I'd rather go to an outside provider, like I've been doing for years and years and years, call it a day. Because going to a dentist is on with the VA is like saying I'm gonna go see a dentist on post, like on a military base. The last thing you want to do is go to a dentist on post. They are rough. They will manhandle you, rip out your teeth and everything. They are not gentle. That's why, coming from experience, I've been too traumatized from all the dental work I've had over the years. Um, but anywho, on top of dental, on top of property tax exemption, you also get um, free hunting and fishing license. If you're a hunter, you're a fisher, you like to go deer hunting, fishing, or whatever, you get a free license. You get free registration. You don't have to worry about registration no more. You get a free driver's license. Um, you also get a free access to any national state park, any national park or state park is what I meant. So, like anywhere across the nation, it could be in any state, as long as it's a national park which is owned federally, or a state park in your state, you get free access. You don't have to pay a dime. And I think your dependents, if you have like children or a spouse, they get a discount as well. Another big perk, you get a huge discount off of theme parks. If you go to Disney World or Disneyland, it's like half off. For 100 percenters, it's like 50% off. And I think they charge you as little as $4.99, almost $500. And your family gets a discount too. That's another big one. Let's see, property tax, state parks, national parks, hunting and fishing license, property tax exemptions. Um, I'm trying to think, what are the other big ones? There's so many perks. Oh, education. That's another big one. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the GI Bill tuition, where you get like a housing stipend to help you with your um, like your rent and your bills and stuff whenever you go to back to school, like if you're going to college. Well, this one is similar to the GI Bill. This one is actually called DEA. DEA stands for Dependents Education Assistance, which means that if you have children or if you have a spouse and they want to go to school, they will pay for their whole entire college, which is really nice. So if you decide to go back to school, I think for the veteran alone, if you've already exhausted your GI Bill, you're still eligible for a separate GI Bill. It's similar, I just don't know the name of it. And then you're also eligible for, um, what's the other one? Oh, Voc Rehab. Voc Rehab stands for vocational rehabilitation. That's just a fancy way of saying it's a program that's designed for veterans if they decide to change their careers or get into a different trade later in life. Say they want to get a CDL, they want to go trucking, and they used to work in an office. They can use Voc Rehab. Voc Rehab gives you a stipend depending on your state where you are. It varies based on the locality, which means that they go by the zip code where you live to determine your housing stipend. That's how that works. So, say you live in, let's say, California. Say you live in Los Angeles. I would say around the ballpark, because it's so expensive in LA, you're probably looking at anywhere close to 2 to 3 thousand alone for a housing stipend. I would not be surprised. If you live somewhere like in Texas, where I lived at, Depending on where you go to school, your stipend can range from like maybe $1,000 to like maybe $2,000. It just depends. But yeah, voc rehab is a little bit different. They don't really pay as much, but it's something decent. You also get not only the stipend, but my veteran buddy also said that you get equipment. The VA will actually pay for a brand new laptop. You can get a brand new tablet if you want to. You can get a brand new desk if you need like a desk or like a setup in your home where you're going to school from home or whatever. They will get you a brand new desk free of charge. Like when I say they take care of you, oh, they take care of you when you unlock these perks. Another big one I just thought about, my buddy told me. He said, if you decide not to go back to school, say you have like a whole bunch of student loans or whatever, you can now discharge them. If you decide not to go back to school, the VA will wipe your student loan debt clean at zero. You ain't got to worry about paying nothing back. That's the best part. Now, the only stipulation to that is that if you decide to go back to school after you discharge your school loans, then they put the shit back on. You got to pay it, and then you just screwed yourself. The catch is, I tell everybody, get everything that you want as far as the degree or as far as a trade certification or whatever you want to do. Get what you want to do now, especially while you're young. And then when you know you're done and you don't ever plan on going back to school or switching careers or trades, then that's when you purge that sucker and you discharge all your loans. But unless you know for sure you're not going to go for like a bigger degree, I would say definitely wipe out your student loan debt. On top of the student loan debts being erased, I would definitely say, what else is there? There's one more he was telling me about. There are so many things that you unlock. It's not even funny. Oh, the the best part of all of this with all the perks, depending on your state, because it's different for every state. Not all the states are the same. They don't have all the rules that apply. But when you go to the DMV and you get your DV plates, aka your disabled veteran license plates, these are like the handicap plates with a little handicap man symbol on them. It's similar to like, the placard that you hang in the mirror. When you get those free of charge. Uh, they only charge you a fee, a processing. It's like a $10 fee. It's very cheap. And all you got to do is show your award letter showing that you're 100%. And here in Virginia, you have to be 100% disabled in order for you to get DV plates, which is crazy to me. But in the southern states, if you live somewhere like Alabama, Louisiana, or Texas, it's only 50%. And if you are a Purple Heart veteran, it's like 40% disability or whatever. But apparently, when you get to the bougier places along the East Coast, like here or like DC or even Florida, you have to be 100% to get DV plates. The handicap placard, now that one threw me for a loop. When I went to the DMV the other day to go get my plates from the post over at Fort Lee, these fools told me I needed to fill out the placard form, which is cool, but then they said I needed a doctor to sign on the bottom of my damn handicap form. I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, why do I need a doctor to sign off on a handicap placard form when I just showed you my award letter showing I'm 100% disabled? Like, what more do you need than the damn letter itself? And I said, well, this is the process. This is how it's been since day one, and they require this for all veterans. He explained to me that the reason they do the medical physician verification is because they basically have to say your doctor verified that you are disabled and you do require the placard, because if they don't sign off on it, they can easily reject you. Now, is it necessary to have the handicap placard with your plates? Yes. And the reason I say yes is because if you park in a handicap spot and say the cops roll by and they don't pay attention to your license plates, even though you have DV plates, they can easily write you a ticket. That's why it's so important to get that blue tag. I call it the VIP tag and call it a day because that, like I said, that's an easy citation you want to avoid. On top of the placard, the DV plates, we've already discussed education, dental, medical. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I now have access to TRICARE. TRICARE is the main healthcare system for like active duty, military, and also like the National Guard and stuff and the reservists. But normally, TRICARE is also available to retirees and 100 percenters. But my homegirl told me that they still make you pay for TRICARE unless you're a retiree. Yeah, they're not going to pay your bill. But the cool part is that again, you don't have to go to the VA hospital no more if you don't want to be seen for future appointments. If you want your own physician outside of that damn hospital, you can go to a third party civilian hospital outside the VA, get a whole new physician if you want to. Um, and basically are supposed to pay for it. Um, Other than that, I think I've covered all the bases of all the perks. But let me double check my phone because I may have missed some things. There's so many things that, like I said, that you have access to when you're a 100%er. Um, let's see, 100% VA disability benefits. Let's see. We're going to select our state, Virginia. Okay, so according to this website called wesalute.com, you select your state to see like your top 10 benefits or your top 10 perks that you unlock. And according to this website, it says your full property tax exemption, which I've already stated already. Um, they have what's called, oh, this is new. I've never heard of this one. Virginia Military Survivors and Dependents Education Program, or VMSDEP. It says that this program provides tuition and fee waivers at Virginia's public colleges and universities for surviving spouses and children of service members killed in the line of duty or veterans who are 90 to 100% disabled. Wow. Isn't that cool? I had no idea. I've never heard of this program. See, like, that's why I tell people to do their research because every state has their own little perks for veterans, and apparently they have their own little tuition program. It's similar to Texas. If you are a Texas veteran, the catch is you have to either be born in the state of Texas, um, or you've had to have an enlistment in the state of Texas. If you enlisted in the military while you were in Texas, or you had a family member like your mother or your father enlisted or whatever, you're eligible to what's called the Hazelwood Act exemption. That's a state tuition program in Texas where you can go to any Texas public college or university and get whatever, and the state pays a full thing. You don't have to worry about a dime. The only catch about the state tuition programs that I don't like, they don't give you a housing stipend like the federal programs. The post 9/11 GI Bill or the Montgomery GI Bill are federal funded programs by the VA. The biggest difference with them is that they give you a housing stipend and they pay your tuition and fees. But the state programs, again, they just pay your tuition up front, which is nice, but you don't get any type of money in your pocket. That's the only bad part. But it's still a good incentive. I mean, the point is, Your school is paid for. You don't have to worry about pulling out student loans unless you're trying to put yourself in debt because you got credit cards or whatever. But unless it's deemed necessary, don't pull out no damn student loans. It's not even worth it. Um, let's see if the other one is. The other perk is state income tax exemption on military retirement. I never heard of this one. Interesting. It says Virginia provides a significant tax advantage for military retirees. Oh, you got to be retired. See, that does not apply to me. Even though I'm 100%, I'm not retired. Now, when you are retired, which means that you put in 20 years or more of military service, you unlock even more benefits. Yeah, retirees, they're like the cream of the crop. They get every single thing handed to them. I'm not joking. But anyway, it reads as of the 2025 tax year, up to $40,000 of military retirement pay is exempt from state income tax for retirees age 55 and older. This allows retired service members to keep more of their hard earned pension. See, that's the difference between retirement and between disability. Retirement is a pension. That's again for people that's done 20 years or more. Disability is for any veteran, literally, that does not need to retire. Like you could do 90 days active duty and get disability. Like that's the biggest difference. It's mostly for veterans who separated and completed their end of, their military service contract, or they can also actually give you disability if you have a medical discharge. Say you got injured while you're on active duty and you cannot continue the rest of your contract, they can medically discharge you and give you disability right off the bat. It's just very hard. They make you jump through hoops, they make you go through exams. It's a lot. Like, I even tried to get a medical discharge before I finished my tour of duty, whatever you call it. They denied the hell out of me, kept saying that I was able bodied and I could still finish my contract. So I finished my contract, did my little 6 years, and got the hell out. And once I got off of active duty, this is way back when, I'm talking 2014 time frame, 2013. I had filed for unemployment and I had unemployment for a full year, which was nice. And as I was looking for jobs and I was getting myself together, getting ready to go to school, this is when I first started going to college. Um, I got my DD 214, which is your discharge paper, sent it up to the schoolhouse, picked the school, and I just started going to classes. And I just started doing a whole bunch of like online courses and stuff. Once I finished school and everything, I pretty much went to filing for disability at that point, and it was terrible. I'm not gonna lie. They make it really hard for you to like really move up as far as the percentages. So, for example, when I first originally filed, again, way back when, years ago, they granted me 10%. 10% ain't shit. That's like $100. Then I went up to 30%. 30%, that's like $400. Then I went up to 50%. This is years of going back and forth, years and years and years. 50% is decent. It's like $800. It's not much, but it's decent. Then I moved to 70% a few years after. Once I hit 70, that got a little bit better. I think at that time I was getting like maybe 1,500 and some change. Then from 70% to 90%, that got even better. That turned into like 2,200 and some change. And then finally, 2026, 10, 15 years later, I hit the 100. Now, depending on um, how severe your disabilities are, they can do a special compensation adjustment and actually give you more, but it's very rare that they do it. Like you have to be like super severe, like disabled. Like you've had to have like a stroke or your lungs are gone from smoking, you got COPD, like stuff like that. Like if you have like heart issues or something like that, you might be eligible for like special compensation on top of, your regular VA. And depending on your situation, if you're single like me with no dependents, they have all the different, little pay charts. You can Google them, look them up. But for here, oh baby, hmm, I'm just gonna spell it out for you. 3989. Yes, that will be on my precious check for the rest of my life. Hallelujah. Praise God. Praise God. Now, if I had dependents, say like I had children or whatever, God forbid, or a spouse, um, each dependent is about 3 or 400 per dependent. So I've actually seen people with disability with dependents now. Check this out. And they would get like anywhere between, I would say, 4,600 to like $5,000 with dependents. Matter of fact, one of my homegirls, I think down in I want to say down in Texas or whatever, she gets a cool. I want to say she gets a cool $4 or $5,000. Well, she gets a little bit extra because she has dependents. Because she has more dependents and stuff, she gets a little bit extra more than the single, veterans or whatever. But that's still good. It's still a blessing. I don't care what nobody says. And the best part also is besides the money, being nice, they do what's called a retroactive back payment. Uh, Once they retroactively back pay you, they go back to the date that you filed your claim. So, for example, when I filed my claim, I think it was around, I don't know, February timeframe. And between February and March, if my calculations are correct, they owe me at least 2 or 3 months of back pay. That's lovely. Yeah, you calculate them numbers, you talking anywhere close to like, I don't know, 7, 8 grand of back pay, which is really nice. Um, on top of the retroactive pay, another perk I forgot to mention, if you decide not to work ever again in life, you have that option now if you're 100% permanent and total or PNT. So they have what's called SSDI, which stands for Social Security Disability Income. Depending on where you are, depending on your age, because it's a little bit weird with SSDI. I don't know exactly how it works, but I know age is a big thing. It's a big factor. And the reason why I say that is because if you're young like me and you're in your late 30s, early 40s, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to get SSDI because you really got to be like unable to work. Like you really have to prove yourself that you cannot work. So what I would suggest for I would definitely say wait until you're up in age. Like wait until you hit your 60s because once you hit Social Security age, oh, you're set. They ain't gonna mess with you. But when you're young, yeah, you would have to go get a disability lawyer and fight. Like one of my homeboys right now, he got to go get a lawyer and fight. And when he told me that, I was just like, nah, pass. I said, I don't mind working. See, work don't bother me. I'm not a lazy person. With me, it's the principle of doing less work, earning more pay. That's the key. That's the goal. The goal is to get the bag, but don't work myself into the ground to get the bag either. See, what I'm trying to do, my end goal is to make sure that I make enough to the point where I don't have to break my back over for folks no more. And I could just literally parlay into a part time job, keep my little side hustles, in case I want to do something, but I really don't need to now. Hallelujah. And just relax. I want to be that Negro that literally goes to the mailbox, gets my check, goes to my little part-time job and call it a day. I don't care about management. I don't care about higher level positions. I don't care about control. A lot of people's egos, oh my God, you'd be surprised. A lot of people want so much damn control. They cannot handle peon jobs, is what I call them. When you're a peon, you're at the bottom of the totem pole and nobody really respects you. They treat you like the help. I've been a peon my whole life. I don't give a damn. Even though I have 2 degrees, that's why I felt like I wasted my damn time. I got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Shout out to Texas State, eat 'em up cats is what my alma mater is. And then I have an associate's degree in paralegal studies at Kaiser University. As many times as I've interviewed, and I mean interviewed heavy, I've interviewed for so many law firms way back when I was living in Texas. I interviewed for so many freaking courthouses to work in paralegal work. I tried to work in paralegal work. I attempted. But these motherfuckers was so damn racist. They would not give me the time of day. They all were like, oh, this is wonderful. Smile, giggle, giggle, ha ha, laugh in my face, and don't give the nigga the job. That's pretty much what they did to me. And I kid you not, even for the lower level peon jobs, I applied to like legal secretary work. I applied to legal administrative assistant, gigs for the state. And the state is bottom of the barrel. That's actually worse, in my opinion, because yeah, state they pay you once a month. I cannot do that pay frequency. That's too hard for me. You would have to like really budget your finances and make sure you have enough money for the month for groceries and gas and survival. I ain't got time for all that. I've been there, done that. I used to do state work a long time ago and it was hard as hell. I couldn't stand it. But yeah, it's a lot that you have to like deal with and put into perspective, when you look at stuff like this. But one thing I will say is that I'm just grateful for the opportunities that are ahead. And I'm very grateful that um, I get to relax a little bit more. I don't have to work as hard. Um, I'm probably going to end up quitting a couple of my side hustles. I'm probably going to stop doing Uber. And I'm definitely probably going to stop doing Lyft. Now I did a little bit of Uber and Lyft earlier to last night or whatever, or before last night. But I only spent like maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 good hours on there. And when I looked at my phone, within the 4 or 5 hours of Ubering around the city, I only made $78, and that's with tips. And I told myself, why should I continue to waste my gas around the city in rush hour traffic, I might add? It was busy yesterday, and only get 70 to 100 bucks on average when it's busy, and I mean busy. I said, I'm cutting this shit off. I cut that app off so fast. I was so disgusted. I went straight home. And by the time I got home, it was close to like 5 o'clock in the evening. And I was planning to go back out. But by the time I got in here and I started laying up here and chilling, I said, I'm not leaving my door. And plus, it's going to be a hectic weekend because this weekend is St. Patrick's Day weekend, and I'm not thrilled. But one thing I will say is keep your head on a swivel. The reason I say that is because there's been so much chaos across the nation going on as far as like, with the conflict overseas. I feel so sorry for people, that got to deal with that mess. And that's another thing that kind of made me leery about dealing with strangers. I don't mind picking up folks, but I'm very cautious now with all the stuff going on, with the war crap and, these random shootings across the nations. It's scary. Um, if I were to continue the side hustle, which I'm not going to continue again unless I really need to, I will stick to only the transit areas. I will only deal with the Amtrak station, the Greyhound station, and the airport. That's it. If you are not at the Amtrak, you're not at the airport, or you're not at the Greyhound station, I'm not picking your ass up. I'm just not. Because I got to the point where I've gotten so paranoid with the people in my car. I'm only dealing with a certain amount of people. I'm only dealing with a certain group of people. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about normal people who are not hood rats. They're not ratchet. They're not in the projects. I'm not dealing with them. I'm not. I refuse to go to the projects. Nothing against the projects. It's just the principle of, do I want to deal with that in my car and get some old crazy crackhead in my car and deal with some maniac that's trying to hurt me? Or do I deal with the more professional people that travel, from the airports and the Hamtracks and call it a day? It's like you pick your poison. And another thing I'm not dealing with is a lot of the foreign natives around here. I'm not dealing with them. Nothing against them. I have nothing against them. It's just the principle of, I'm starting to have a phobia of them now with all the mess going on. I don't trust them. No shade to them. I love all people. I love all colors, but with the current state of events that are going on right now in this world, I don't put nothing past nobody that's not from around here. I just don't. I don't even care if they're from Africa. I'm not dealing with them. No. If you have a very long name and I cannot pronounce it, I'm not picking your ass up. Put it like this: if your ass ain't black, you ain't getting jack. No shade. No shade to the people around the world. But yeah, with everything going on, I'm not, no, I'm not putting my life at risk. I refuse. Mm-mm. Because that's why I'm just like, you gotta be careful. You gotta be real cautious, real careful. And the really sad part is now what I'm starting to notice around, different cities with all the chaos mess is that you really have to be careful about military affiliation. If you are wearing like any type of uniform or insignias or whatever, or you like veteran hats, because you know how you see the old guys wearing like the Vietnam War hats or like the, World War II hats, you have to be very careful. Um, the reason I say that is because if you bump into the wrong somebody that is a domestic, terrorist, you can become a target easily. They have what's called sleeper cells. I've seen it on the news. CNN was talking about it the other day. Sleeper cells are basically terrorist cells of different groups of people. They could be black, they could be white, they could be, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, Latino, anybody can be part of that sleeper cell. And it basically means that these people legit pick cities, random places, and they plot to terrorize, the city or whatever. And you have to be very mindful of where you are. You have to make sure you're aware of your surroundings. You have to be very vigilant. I'm serious. Like the way everything's been going, oh, I've been looking over my shoulder 24/7. If something don't look right, if something don't feel right, I turn around and I'll go the other way. If somebody look funny at me and I feel like they're watching me, oh, I'm gone. I'm not staying around. Why the hell should I stay around? No. But yeah, stuff like that, you just have to be very cautious. Even if it's the store, you could be in the grocery store minding your business, going to get your, groceries or whatever. And lo and behold, somebody is plotting on you, watching you the whole time while you're shopping. You're not paying attention. And they follow your ass outside to the parking lot. You gotta be real careful, you know? And then on top of all of this mess, with all this chaos going on, the thing that really bothers me now is that whole Nancy Guthrie case. Where the hell is Nancy Guthrie? They've been talking about this old white lady this whole entire month and since last month. This lady has been missing for like 40 plus days. And I've been keeping up with it a little bit here and there on TikTok. But I'm just like, I hope that lady is alive and well. I pray that she's okay and nobody's actually harmed her and she's returned safely to her family members. But I'm just like this. Let's be realistic for a second. Who just goes and snatches some old white lady who's in her 80s and severely like ill, like really sick? Like this woman has a pacemaker, she's on blood thinners, like she is not in her best shape. And someone just snatched her. And it doesn't make any sense. There's no leads, there's no suspects, the cops ain't saying shit, the FBI ain't saying nothing. Something don't feel right about that case. And something in my spirit tells me it's got to be somebody that knows that lady. Because how would these quote unquote kidnappers know that this woman had a pacemaker? Because they're the ones who disconnected her Wi Fi from her pacemaker. My other question is how would they know where the cameras are? They knew exactly where her doorbell camera was at. They picked up some leaves, they covered it up. And I'm just like, from my understandings, that's somebody that knows that woman. It's somebody that's close to her for sure. It may not be her own family members that snatched her up, but it could be somebody that knows her very well, like a neighbor or like a family friend, quote unquote. And I'm just like, my other question is if she had a doorbell camera, I'm pretty sure she had a million cameras around her house. This lady was living in Tucson, Arizona, right? She has neighbors, very nice neighborhood. Where are the other camera footages? That's my other question. Now, a lot of people on TikTok argue, well, the neighbors are far, they're not that close to her, or, you know, they they're wherever, you know. Here's my thing. My thing is somebody has to have some other type of evidence of the kidnapper's vehicle, their car, um, the time frames when she got snatched up at her house. You know, somebody knows something. That's why I said they be bullshitting on here. I don't know if it's a big conspiracy theory, but a lot of people are saying they believe it might be her own son-in-law that might be involved, and a lot of people are saying they think it's the other daughter. Now, another thing that threw me off about this whole case is the fact that there's no fingerprints, there's no paper trail. Like, it doesn't make sense. It does not make any sense. It pisses me off. And then on top of that, um, they also said that they don't know, you know, again where she's at. They don't have any type of leads or any type of tips where she possibly could be. Nobody has spotted this old lady nowhere. And they said something else about the whole case. I'm just trying to think what else they said. They said, what did they say? I'm trying to think what they say. They said, God, I can't think off the top of my head what else they said. They said a lot of things about this whole Nancy Guthrie case. I see, besides the Wi Fi and the pacemaker being disconnected, um, oh, the ransom. That was the most important piece. So, the quote unquote kidnappers that snatched her up, they asked for a $6 million ransom. If I'm not mistaken, the news said that they asked for the ransom in the form of Bitcoin. Now, according to my knowledge, the last time I checked, Bitcoin is untraceable. That's why they want Bitcoin, because the minute you get it, you know, the money wired to like your bank or whatever, they can easily trace it back and identify you. So nobody cooperated with them yet as far as the ransom. Here's my other thing. Why are these people quiet? Like, if it's a legit kidnapper, they would not be sitting in silence. If they've already asked for a ransom, they would be demanding, like, hey, where's my money? Like, you wouldn't hold someone captive that long. You know what I mean? Like, think realistically for a second. Another thing that threw me off about this whole case, what's so strange about it, is why did TMZ get a hold of the doorbell camera footage? First of all, why is TMZ always the first people to find out some bullshit like this? That's my other question. Because I thought that was so weird. According to TMZ, they're the ones who received the ransom note or whatever that they wanted. And so I'm just like, anybody with any type of common sense, if they are a real professional kidnapper, they don't want all that media attention. Nobody just calls up TMC and says, hey, I snatched up so and so. I want all this money. Like, nobody does that. Like, no. That's why I said it's like a horrible movie, more of a suspense slash thriller. And in my opinion, when I think about all the details and the facts about all the case, because I've been following this case for a very long time now, I honestly believe it may be possibly a conspiracy. And the only reason why I say that, a lot of people say that, oh, it's a staged and it's fake, it's a distraction. No, it's definitely not fake. It is definitely not staged. It's a real deal case. However, the details are not adding up as far as what's surrounding in the case. And then on top of that, um, another thing that I heard, don't know if it's true, but allegedly her other daughter, the famous daughter with the money that works for the Today Show, the co-host Samantha Guthrie, supposedly interviewed the Epstein victims, and they believe that because after that interview, she might be the reason why that her mother got snatched up because they don't want whatever she's cooking up to come out. Now I don't know if that's true, but word on the TikTok streets is saying this was payback or retaliation for the whole project that she was working on with those victims that she talked to. And I think that may have triggered this whole kidnapping event. I could be wrong, but honestly, I don't think it's necessarily a conspiracy. I honestly would say it's somebody that's mad at her daughter for some odd reason. Don't know why they're mad at her. And I think it might be a thing of money. And the only reason I say that is because the other daughter, the broke daughter, who don't really have money, because I don't know what she does for a living, she had an argument, according to the news. I don't know if that part's true, but I seen it on TikTok somewhere. They said that the other daughter argued with the mother, and somebody sent their mother an Uber to come pick her up and move her down the street 4 minutes away from her home. Why? I don't know. And I'm just like this, rich people don't Uber. I'm gonna say that right now. Rich people do not Uber. If they're like rich, and I'm talking like $10 million rich, like Samantha Guthrie, for example. Samantha is not in an Uber. You will never see Samantha in an Uber. I'm gonna tell you why. Samantha is what I call white privilege. White privilege that actually has money, and I'm talking like fuck you money. They have the power, okay, get this, to have their own drivers. And that's the thing I don't understand. As much money as Samantha Guthrie makes with the Today Show, I'm positive she has her own driver. And if she does not have her own personal driver, she's definitely in a sprinter van, like a Mercedes sprinter van, like with all those celebrities that ride in. She's definitely not driving herself everywhere. I can tell you that right now. Especially if she travels and if she goes to different events, that lady is not driving herself. She's a millionaire. Now, if she was broke, Maybe she might be driving herself. But people like with big, stupid money, they normally have personal drivers. They don't take Ubers. That's what threw me off the most. As much money as her daughter has, why would you send an old lady in an Uber? Why? You have a nice community, a nice suburb community. There's no reason why she needs to be in an Uber. Because a lot of the times, rich people make sure that their parents are taken care of. They parents get, picked up by like a driver or chauffeur or whoever. They don't take Uber. They don't. But yeah, the whole situation is very sad. It's very unfortunate how long that lady's been missing, and they can't find not one ounce of a trace of her anywhere. And I would hope, like again, I would hope that she's alive and well, but with the current conditions that she's in, I don't think she's made it this far. Knowing that she's in bad health with that pacemaker, the blood thinners and stuff, I don't think she's probably gonna survive unless whoever snatched her knew about her pacemaker and they know how to keep her going and they have all her medications, to keep her going. That's the only way that lady is going to survive. But I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like the whole case is crazy. And that sheriff pisses me off. Whoever that sheriff is of that raggedy ass Arizona town where Nancy Guthrie got snatched, he needs to be fired. That man just rambles. He doesn't say real updates. He just says, "We don't know where she is. We don't know where she is. We don't know anything." And it's just like, if you're not going to give legit updates on, possible whereabouts or possible leads, why are you at a press conference? Like, sit your ass down, have a seat, and let somebody else talk. Like, I don't know. But anywho, tired of talking about rich white folks and news and stuff because I'm just like this. If it was us, they would have been found us a long time ago in a ditch somewhere, most likely. But because it's them, I don't know. They're making it a whole mystery like they don't know where this woman is at. I think somebody knows where she's at. And I think somebody's lying in that family of hers because there is no way, and I mean absolutely no way, that all of those family members were cleared, according to the sheriff. There's no way, because if they were cleared, why was there recent footage of the feds going to back to her neighbors' houses and going back to her daughter's houses? Like, if they're cleared, why are you still going back to the same place you started to search? Like, that's the questions you need to answer. People are not asking the right questions. People are asking whereabouts and all this other bullshit, but they're not looking at the bigger picture. They're not looking at timelines. They're not looking at the Uber. There's the more important details of what got her snatched up. That's what they need to look at. But who am I to say? I'm just saying what my theory is. I believe that it was either, again, the son in law and the other daughter, or somebody that's very close to her, like a neighbor or a friend, or it's still the son in law and the daughter, and they hired someone professionally to do whatever they did. But yeah, it's definitely an inside job because, again, nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, could have known how to disconnect that lady's pacemaker from the Wi Fi. There's no way. There's no way. That's how I knew it's somebody that knows her ass. But yeah, it's just very unfortunate. It's very sad how long she's been gone. But anywho, besides all of that and everything else going on, oh, another thing I forgot to mention. So on Thursday morning, it still happened around I think 11:30 in the morning. One of my coworkers saw an alert on her phone, and she said on the news it was saying that there was an active shooter at the time at the Old Dominion University, which is the college up in Norfolk, Virginia. Norfolk is only about I'd say about an hour, maybe an hour and a half from Richmond, from where I'm at. And they said that the shooter supposedly walked up to the ROTC building and was looking for the ROTC department. Once he found the ROTC building or whatever he was looking for, that's when he started spraying and let loose on people. According to the news, the ROTC students are the ones who subdued the shooter and actually killed him, which shocked me even more. And I'm like, if this man had a gun and he killed somebody, how did the students kill the shooter if they're not armed? And then I read somewhere supposedly the ROTC students were armed, but they had like knives or sharp objects and they ended up, killing the guy. But the craziest part about that incident is that it was a black guy. You see what I'm talking about? Like, this is why I tell people to be very cautious and be very aware of their surroundings because it can be literally anybody. And this wasn't, your ordinary black guy. This guy, he had a very Islamic name. I think he was of some type of Muslim background. His name was like Mohammed or some bullshit, and he was young. I think he was like in his 20s. He looked like a kid, to be honest. He looked like an 18-year-old. And according to the news, they said that he was a former Army reservist, which really pissed me off even more, knowing that he was a veteran. And he went to jail for something. I can't remember for what. Then when he got released from jail or wherever he went to, that's when he just spiraled and lost his marbles and became radicalized, with domestic terrorism. And that's why I tell people to be very mindful of who you talk to and where you are, because the very person that you think might be trustworthy and friendly could be the very person that can harm you. Um, and it was just so chaotic with that whole, college shooting. I ended up finding out that one person died, unfortunately. It was like some retired commander. He was like a lieutenant colonel, very nice looking, handsome black guy. And when I read his bio from the ROTC's Facebook page, I was floored. It was just so sad that a good person who probably never harmed a fly in his life, a respectable person who was actually one of the instructors at the ROTC Academy, lost his life due to a senseless killing. Somebody that did not know him killed him for no reason. It is sad. And the guy left behind a spouse and a child, according to the news. It's very sad. And he was pretty young. I want to say he was like close to his mid 40s, somewhere around there. And another thing that I hated to see was the fact that they said something else. I can't remember what else they said, but it is a mess. It's just really senseless, and it's really sad how a complete stranger can turn into your worst nightmare and just harm you for no reason because of their beliefs, quote unquote, or their radicalization, whatever you call it. And that's why I tell people keep your head on a swivel. I don't care how tough you are. I don't care how macho you think you are. I don't care how big your ego is. Even if you think you can take down the person, it's not worth risking your life. And another clear example was the pipe bomb threat I saw on the news. It was somewhere up in New York or something. One of the NYPD officers, who happened to be a brother, jumped into action when he saw the pipe bomb mess, and he subdued the people and got them arrested. Now, those people that had the pipe bomb threat, I think it was right outside the mayor's office, if I'm not mistaken, they were of Arabic descent. Um, it was really crazy, and they were like 18 and 19 years old, very young. And it was just nuts. I was just like, where's the world peace when you need it? I said, we really need to call for world peace at this point, because I'm just like, what the hell is going on out here? When I say I've never seen it this bad out here, y'all, I've never seen it this bad. And to be honest, I feel like with the current climate of everything going on, I honestly don't feel safe in America. I really don't. I will definitely say, if I had the means for it, if I had the bread, I would pack up all my shit and go overseas so fast. It's not even funny. I would literally pick somewhere, preferably Europe, but I ain't got Europe money. Europe is expensive. If I had the money, I would probably say my go to as far as like cost of living, because Europe is expensive. Maybe Mexico, I would say, is definitely on top of my list. Maybe Mexico. I would probably go somewhere like Puerto Vallarta or like Cancun, where the resort is at, or Mexico City. I heard Mexico City is really nice. But the problem with Mexico right now, they have their own shit going on. They have a whole conflict because one of their cartel leaders was recently killed, and they're going through a mess too. So now it's like, what place can I feel safe at in the whole entire world and not have to really look over my shoulder, not have to worry about some old crackhead trying to steal something from me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you think about it, you're like, damn, I don't even know where to go. But yeah, I would definitely say, if I had the means for it, if I had the money for it, I would definitely relocate my ass up out of here in a heartbeat. Baby, I got my passport on deck since forever. I just never really, went nowhere like that. But I would say the only other option, as far as relocation purposes, is maybe Canada. But Canada is so damn cold. That's why I'm just like, I don't even think I would go to Canada. For me, it's more of the tropical climate. I could deal with anything, like from Jamaica to like, I don't know, wherever. Anywhere tropical, I'm down for it. It's a vacation. But anything cold, like the Europe or the UK, But yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, all we can do is sit back and pray about everything going on. Um, Besides all of that chaos, uh, I can't think of anything else. Oh, a few weeks ago, there was a it was a mass shooting in Austin, Texas, to be exact, and that was also terrorism related. They said there was a guy, I think he was an African guy from Senegal, and he was very radicalized. And this motherfucker had an AR-15 and just started randomly spraying people at the bar. And if my memory serves me correct, um, I believe two people did die from that bar shooting, and about 14 people were injured. And I'm just like, yo, y'all, it's like now I feel like they're not taking enough safety precautions and a lot of measures to really protect the citizens. At this point, I feel like this. If y'all want to promote more safety and protection for the citizens or whatever, I feel like at this point, you might as well go ahead and get damn SWAT teams out or something. Something's got to give. It just doesn't make no damn sense how many incidents that I see on the daily out here. I swear, I've never seen it this bad to the point where we, the people, have to worry about ourselves in the States. Because for the longest, whenever there was a war going on, and it's overseas, the citizens never really had to worry, as far as the stateside. But now with this mess going on, um, we have to keep our ears to the ground. We have to keep our eyes open. We have to be very alert. I'm so serious. Like, the last thing you want to do is be looking down at your phone and not paying attention. You're walking and talking, and then just like that, you're gone in a blink of an eye. Um, Another thing I would definitely say is take a lot of extra precautions while traveling. Traveling is not too hot, and I damn sure ain't getting on no plane nowhere. According to TSA has gone through a partial shutdown, another government shutdown, but it's a partial shutdown. And that just simply means that the government cut the budgets for TSA. And now, because they don't have enough staffing due to the government shutdown, all of the people who are traveling are now affected. So I'm just like, damn, you can't even travel in peace right now. Like, even if you're trying to get somewhere from point A to point B, it's going to take you forever just to get through that TSA line. I saw a video tonight, or last night rather, of, I think it was Austin's airport. Austin had cars and people out to the freeway just trying to get through the airport. And when I seen that shit, I said, "Oh hell no!" But yeah, take extra precautions if you're traveling. And I feel sorry for some of the U.S. citizens that are trapped in the Middle East. I noticed that a lot of citizens are still trapped in Dubai. The embassy can only do so much. From what I've been hearing, don't know if it's true, but a lot of people are saying that they've been told to go get visas and hop over to Europe and fly out of Europe, trying to get back to the States. And I'm just like, certain things is just, it's irritating. It's very irritating. I just feel like, you might as well just stay home. I feel like at this point, with the rate that we're going, I will have the bar at home. I will have the hotel at home. I will have the party at home. Because why? At least I know that my black ass is safe and sound and out of harm's way in my own home. And I ain't got to worry about some crazy person targeting people for no reason. But yeah, as much as I like to be outside, quote unquote, and have fun and do different events now, especially if I know that the event or the venue or whatever is packed, like I'm talking like sardine packed to where you're like, scooching and moving your arm shoulder to shoulder, I'm leaving. I'm not the type of person that's going to sit up there in a big old crowd and act like, I'm so safe when there could be a number of things that go wrong. And my other thing is, I'm starting to notice around, especially here, is the what's it called? I can't even think right now. Um, Dang, my mind just went blank. I hate when my mind goes blank. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to think. Every time I'm trying to think something and I have it, it just goes away. Um, oh, the police presence. I'm starting to notice, depending on the neighborhood you are in, a lot of the cops out here, they've stepped up the police presence because of like, the recent events with the war mess. And um, yeah, it's chaotic. It's just very, very sad with all the stuff that we have to take precautions of. And that's why I'm not privy to flying right now. I'm not in no type of hurry whatsoever to go do a quote unquote vacation. Um, and now when I think about everything going on, I honestly don't know if I'm going to make it to the Master P concert. The Master P concert is in May. I believe it's on May the 15th, if I'm not mistaken, which is like a Friday. And I was just telling myself, as much as I want to go to that Master P concert up in Hampton, and even though it's inside of a stadium, even that alone scares me because now I feel like anything with crowds is a no go. I honestly don't care for crowded places like that anyway. Um, I would definitely say you definitely got to watch yourself everywhere you go. Um, what else is there? I'm forgetting something stuff. My brain is getting sleepy now. I'm starting to feel it. That's why I'm trying to like, um, God, I hate when my mind goes blank all the time. Oh, my side gig, another life update. So the other day, after my day job, I went to go do an interview for Hilton. Hilton hit me up for like a vacation sales ambassador, quote unquote. And I said, okay, cool, I'll check it out, whatever, right? So I do my little interview. The lady asked me like maybe 5 or 6 questions. Very nice lady. And then after our interview was over, she was like, well, I'd like to offer you the job. I think you have what it takes, as far as customer service. I think you'll be just fine. So when she told me that, I was like, you know what? Hell yeah. So I'm very excited to share that I will be doing some sales, technically selling like, timeshares and stuff. But Hilton calls it vacation packages. They don't call them timeshares. But that's technically what I'm doing. I'll be inside of like a Cabela's. It's similar to like Bass Pro Shop, like an outdoors store. And, I'll have my own little booth or whatever, and I'll be selling timeshares. So I'm looking forward to it. Now, as far as the money is shit. I'm not gonna lie. It's only 16 an hour plus bonus and commission, which is nice. Now, the only catch to that is that depending on how many packages you sell determines how much your commission is going to be. But the good thing is, regardless of commission, you still get your salary. Your commissions are uncapped, which means that you can earn as much money you want to earn on commissions. Um, and the perks are good. So even though I'll only be part time, I have eligibility to get 401k. I'm eligible to get travel perks, discounts on every Hilton hotel worldwide. Um, and if I want to, like, say, if I want to keep that job and move somewhere, I can move anywhere where there's a Hilton resort that sells the timeshares. and I can just make my way on through. I ain't even gotta stay here if I don't want to. Yeah, that's how nice it is. You know what I mean? But why is this damn thing opening? The hell? I don't know why this damn bracelet ain't opening now. It's hard as hell. So I got the clamps open. I don't know why that thing ain't opening. That's weird. I've been fidgeting with this bracelet half the night trying to figure out how to get it off. And I had it off earlier, but now it won't come off for some odd reason. I don't know why, but I think it's stuck. But yeah, I'm very, very excited. Even though, again, it does not seem like it's much, and it's, bottom of the totem pole because of sales. If you calculate the commissions and you calculate the number of people that you sell to, you can make anywhere between like $1,000 on your commission to $5,000. It just depends how many packages you sell. Now, I've done sales in the past. I just haven't done them in a very long time. The very last time I worked in sales, ooh, God, years ago. I want to say I did like Time Warner Cable at the time or Charter Communications, but now it's Spectrum. Spectrum changed it. And I used to sell cable and I used to sell internet a long time ago when I lived in Texas. I also used to sell alarm systems when I worked in a call center. And one thing I will say, as much as I hate call centers, they are a good stepping stone to build up your skill set. And if it wasn't for the call centers, if it wasn't for the random temping jobs I used to be a temp all over Texas and do like temp to hire gigs. If it wasn't for those type of customer service jobs, yeah, I would not be able to be, a good salesman or be personable, quote unquote, to, get the customer's attention. Um, I don't know how to get this damn thing off. This shit will not come off. I'm so annoyed right now. I don't know what I did, but it is not coming the hell off. Um, what else I was gonna say? Um, come on, open sesame. I think it's stuck. Oh, there you go. Man, it was hard as hell to get off. Um, oh, perks. So not only do I get the 401k and the travel discounts, the hotel discounts worldwide, I also get the wellness programs. If I ever want to like do like yoga or something like that, they pay for that. It's like a discount. Um, the best part though, besides the different perks, is that the company itself, Hilton, also does company trips. So I'm not sure if it includes everybody, but according to the recruiter I spoke with, she said that the whole entire organization will literally pay for an all expense trip and they'll go to like a random resort. Like she told me one time they went to Hawaii and all types of places. And I was just like, and I said, all because of this job? She was like, hell yeah. She said, we got salesmen that range from like ages 18 to like 80 just selling vacation packages. And the hours are not bad. That's why I don't mind doing the work, even though it's shitty pay. It suffices either way. It's a win win for me because now that I have my disability, like I said, I don't have to work as hard. That's the best part. And another thing that's a good perk that she was telling me about, if you ever decide to say like you want to relocate and you want to move out of state, go somewhere like Texas or California, anywhere where there's a Hilton resort, you can literally move there and keep your job. even if you're part time. They don't care if you're part time, they don't care if you're full time. As long as you're one of the two, you get all access to the perks. That's the best part. And once I read all the goodies online and stuff, I said, yeah, sign me up. I'm ready to go. And I was telling a couple of my coworkers, which I probably shouldn't have said shit anyway, because none of their damn business, because they so nosy. But I was telling them, that I'm about to downgrade myself and work part time because I'm not slaving no more. I said I refuse to slave for massa and be on the plantation working 50, 60 hours a week or whatever and doing unnecessary overtime that I never get paid for. I said I'm not doing that anymore. I said, but what I will do is downgrade myself to part time. Even though the hours ain't shit, even though the money ain't shit, that don't mean them commission checks ain't gonna be shit. That's what people fail to realize. When people hear the word commission, they automatically run away, thinking, oh, you gotta sell yourself all day, there ain't no money. Like, no, you don't understand. So the manager lady that I was having an interview with, she gave me a great example. She basically said if you sell 2 to 5 packages a day minimum, between 20 to 30 hours a week, you can make anywhere to 50 to 60K a year. That's just part time. Now, if you were full time, 5 days a week, right? 40 hours, and you sell like, I don't know, 5 to 10 packages a week or whatever. She said the top earners who are selling like 20 packages a week or whatever, they're getting anywhere between 75 to 80 something K a year right now with Hilton. So when she told me that, I was like, damn. But I even told her, I said, look, I'll be honest, and I'm not going to waste your time either. I'm just looking for a little something to keep me, afloat along with, my VA because I don't need to work as hard no more. I'm not obligated to work as hard no more, nor do I want a full time job. And I said, this will be the perfect setup for me because I'm very personable. I have the customer service skill set, as you can tell, and I don't feel the need to work full time nor overtime. Now, the only downside to Hilton is that you are obligated to work weekends and holidays and whatever. But again, the hours are easy. She literally told me I could work evenings from like 5 to 9, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's what, 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours a day. I can do it all day long because as long as I'm not standing on my own 2 feet for more than 8 hours, I'm okay with that. I'd rather stand on my feet for at least 4 to 5 hours minimum, no more than that. Because I even let her know now, that I've had these physical ailments with my feet. I said, my feet are jacked. And I know y'all do a lot of standing at this booth. Y'all allow, like a few breaks in between the standing, like 10-minute breaks or whatever. She's like, oh yeah, we're not gonna have you tortured at the booth because, you're disabled and or whatever. And I was just like, okay, cool. Because I said some people, not saying you guys, but I said some people are real aggressive about that and they don't like, part timers taking breaks and stuff because you don't really need a break because it's part time. But she told me that you're like allotted, like, 10-minute breaks or whatever, go to the restroom, do what you gotta do. But it seems like a very good opportunity. I feel like it's a fresh start. It's exciting because I don't know what to expect. Is it a risk? Hell yeah, it's a risk, but it's a risk that I'm willing to take because I put it this way: if you continue to live in fear and you don't have that mindset of successfulness or being successful and taking a risk here or two, I'm not saying all the time, but unless you try, you will never know and you'll never succeed. And that's why I tell people, depending on the business and depending on what type of industry they're going for, you cannot just sit back and think, oh, well, I don't have all the tools, so I'm going to wait till next year. I don't have all the knowledge, so I'm going to wait until, like, 5 years later down the road. If you don't seize the opportunity now while it's available, you're going to fail regardless. And that's why I tell people it's not going to be easy the first go around. You're going to get a lot of rejection. You're going to get a lot of no's, just like the manager lady told me. However, practice makes perfect. I look at it this way: as long as I have a mentor or some sort of a coach, like she told me to, and as long as I'm properly trained on the floor before they release me to do what I need to do, I think I'll be just fine. Because, again, unless you try something new, you're never going to know. Now, my coworkers, on the other hand, they did not agree. And I'm going to tell you why they did not agree. So, two of my coworkers are older, black guys. One of them is like in his 50s, the other one is like in his 40s. Mind you, majority of the coworkers I work with, they're either married, they have kids, or they're like single, doing a single parent thing or whatever, right? These two numbnuts, one of them is married and has three kids. The other one used to be married but now divorced and has one kid, right? So here they are trying to preach to me. This is why I don't like airing out all my business like that, because unless I really, you know, like to be around you and talk to you, I'm not going to tell you all my damn business. And these people are pretty legit. And the reason I say that is because, I'm a contractor, with the Navy folks or whatever. And they're pretty legit. Like, we come from the same military background. So, coming from the same military background and stuff like that, I feel comfortable, you know what I mean, talking about my personal business. But, anywho, so the 50-year-old man, this brother goes, so what is your end goal? Because you got all these side hustles, and I get it, you're hungry, you're young, but what is your end goal with all these different side hustles you're doing? I said, you really want to know? He said, yeah. I said, my end goal is to work less, be less stressed, and retire early. That's the end goal. I said, I've made it my business to make sure that I am financially stable, which I am, and I'm very grateful for that. And I've done the calculations. I even told them both. I said, if you think about it, you calculate everything that I just told you, I will be good regardless of the situation because of my VA. I said, on top of my VA and on top of my little part time gig, I have other multiple streams of income. And I explained to them, I have, Uber, I have Lyft, um, YouTube, but YouTube is not monetized yet. And the other guy was like, well, I understand where you're coming from, but why would you want to leave here? This job is easy. It's not hard, blah, blah, blah. I said, here's the thing what you don't understand. I told the other dude, I said, what you don't understand, yes, the job is easy. No, nobody really bothers me here. I have no complaints. I'm very grateful how relaxed the environment is. However, there are two things that don't sit well with me with this job. I said, one is knowing that I will never ever see anything close to six figures on this job because I'm a contractor. And as a federal contractor or whatever you call it, a lot of those different gigs, it ranges in pay. Depending on how big the contract is, determines how much your pay is going to be. So, for example, when I first started there at this job, I started at $19.28 an hour. It's not much, but it's decent. Then I got a little bump in pay. My little bump in pay was only a couple of extra dollars. maybe like $23 an hour, maybe $22 an hour. Then, after my little bump in pay, I found out they did get the renewal for the contract, which is in June. However, the problem with contractors is that your pay can either go up, again, like I said, or go down. So, depending on who the company is that took over the renewal, determines your fate of your job. And basically, they get the last say so on how much you can make and all this other stuff. So, that's one thing I don't like. The other thing I don't like about this job is the fact that, honestly, besides the pay being shitty, it's just the principle of micromanagement. I don't appreciate people that micromanage the shit out of me. I don't. And when I realize there are too many chiefs, not enough Indians, don't nobody know who's in charge, yeah, no. I cannot work with, like environments that are not structured. They're very chaotic at times. So that's why I have my reasons. And that's why I told them, I said, look, what you don't understand is that I understand where you're coming from at a perspective, oh, the job is easy, it's easy money, blase, blase. But I told him, I said, what you don't understand is the principle that y'all Negroes have kids. I don't. Y'all have wives. I don't. Like, that's what they fail to realize. And I said, y'all are too busy living in that mindset of fear and not taking a risk. That's the problem. He said, no, I understand where you're coming from because I've done it before. I said, what you mean? So the other brother, the one in his 40s, was basically telling me that he took a risk to start his own business one time. He was trying to do like a restaurant or something with his wife. I don't know. But then he failed miserably. He lost a lot of investments. He lost a lot of money behind it. And he had to start all over, back to square one. And I said, well, I guess I can understand where you're coming from on that part. I said, however, everybody is going to fail at some point in their life, whether they're a cook, a janitor, whatever. Someone is going to fail. The bigger question you have to ask yourself is that when you take this risk, did you outweigh all of your options and compare your two options that you're doing? And that's what I told them. I said, I hear you, but you're not hearing me. I just told you exactly what I plan to do. I outweighed both my options. Right now, I'm full time. I make my little, 20 some an hour, blah, 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 right? When I downgrade, I'll be part time. I make way less. However, that does not include the VA. So, in reality, when you outweigh the pros and the cons of each job, one job on the left side, the full time job, the contract gig that I'm doing, it has benefits, all right, but the benefits suck. And the reason why I say the benefits suck is because you have to purchase PTO. I've never heard of such a thing until I came here. Why do I need to buy 40 hours of PTO? Why? Then, on top of buying the PTO, you're basically not really getting the top tier of the exclusive benefits package. Like, you're getting, like your medical, if you need the medical program, your dental, your vision, just everyday basics of a regular job. Now, compared to Hilton, the part-time job, the one that's on the lower end, remember I told y'all, it's only 16 an hour plus commission and bonus incentives. Even though that salary ain't shit. Again, the commotion, not commotions, God, I'm getting sleepy. The commissions is key because that determines how much more income you're going to make. And then on top of that, their benefits are way better than government benefits. And the reason I say that is because the perks are way better. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm not saying this to, like blow things up to make it seem like, oh, it's Hilton's the best place on planet Earth. Like, no. I'm literally outweighing the comparisons of one job versus another job. One job that pays more, but makes you slave more, literally. You have no real freedom, you have no real leverage, and hardly anyone respects you in the building because you're at the bottom of the totem pole, you're peon. Versus people care is what I call Hilton. And the reason I say people care is because the people are first versus the mission. Now, the full time job is about the mission first and the people are last. And the reason I say that is because you have a very structured um, leadership to where everyone is about mission, mission, mission. People are last. And then you have, again, Hilton, people, people, people. Mission is last, technically. The biggest difference, honestly, in my opinion, is knowing that on the outside, in the private sector, which is Hilton, you have more mentorship opportunities, you have mentorship programs. They seem more personable when it comes to like health and well being and all that good stuff. And then, like, if you need to take a mental health day, you can do that without any type of penalty, without any type of repercussion. Like, if you legit have a mental health breakdown, you can take a few days off. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you. But again, in my opinion, some people may agree, some people may not agree with me. I feel like it's smarter to work less hours, especially if you know you have a guaranteed lump sum of income for life. That's not going anywhere. And then if you want to go back to school, that's another check. So all I'm saying is do your research. That's all I'm saying, folks. And the more research you do, the more knowledge you gain. Because I learned the hard way. I learned that no matter how much ass you kiss, you're never going to get promoted. And if you do get promoted, it's based off of your performance evaluations and recommendations from the higher up. And if nobody recommends you for something, or it's not like a thing where you get referred or whatever, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like at this point, I've had my fill. My cup runneth over. And again, I've met some good people from my day job where I'm currently at. I, you know, hung out with the ladies on a couple occasions, and I feel like now it's time to move. It's time to elevate. And the only reason I say that is because less stress, less time, less work. I mean, who's going to turn down, again, 3 days a week of work, 4 or 5 hours a day, realistically, maybe 5, 6 hours a day? Who's going to turn down? Who's turning that down? Nobody. I'm serious. Like, if you have the opportunity to make commission on top of your salary, on top of your bonus incentives, on top of referral money, because you refer somebody, you get paid for that too. Realistically, I can see myself probably making, I don't know, maybe anywhere between like an extra 2 to 3 grand. It just depends, like I said, on the vacation packages. But yeah, I'm to the point where I'm getting older. I'm not getting any younger. It's catching up to me now. And I rather work smarter, not harder. I will take the lesser job, I will take the lesser pay, and I will take the lesser hours. Because for me, it's more about freedom. As long as I have the freedom to leverage my schedule as I can and do my little, training mumbo jumbo, I think I'll be just fine. But when you have people who let that ego go to their head or their fancy title go to their head, they have to be in control of everything. And I try to tell people that you don't have to be in control of everything. You could still be the high profile, whatever you want to do. It's just you have to find the best fit for you. And again, do your research and also take note that sometimes rejection is not a bad thing. And just like the manager told me over at Hilton, she said that you can't get discouraged. There will be a lot of no's. Just expect that there's going to be a lot of rejection, and if you can push yourself through and you know think you have the drive and the motivation to get the people to buy timeshares or whatever, she said you'll be good to go. But yeah, she made it seem like it was so easy. The only thing I forgot to ask her that I need to ask her is what is the quota for selling these vacation packages. But yeah, it's just, outweighing the pros versus the cons. That's all. But I'm about to get off of here, y'all, because I'm getting real sleepy. My eyes is getting heavy. I've been rambling and rambling. It is almost 2. Is it 2? I can't see. Yeah, 2:05. It's time to lay down. I'm about to get off of here and lay down, call it a night, because I'm getting real sleepy now. But I hope you guys enjoyed this live. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And if you missed it, always hit the replay button, catch the replay. But I will holler at y'all the next time, and y'all take it easy, and make sure again you're aware of your surroundings. Keep your head on a swivel. Let somebody know where you are. Something. But anyway, I'm gonna go now. Peace out.